our next one, which is 5 minus 2i. What's my a there?
5.
And my b?
-2.
So we're going to do the square root business there. Square root of a squared plus b squared. So a squared is 5 squared plus b squared, which is -2 squared. So let's see, 25 plus 4, square root of 29. Okay, and that's great. And typically we'll leave them like this. I won't ask for your decimal approximate. I just want the exact answer.
How come you put the square root instead of doing like before and putting the absolute value of...
Ah, why would I do that? They gave me the formula of the absolute value of a plus bi equals this right here. A squared plus b squared. They gave me that. If I were plotting it myself from 0, 0, and I did the Pythagorean theorem and I used this side and this side, I would have to do the absolute value.
Okay.
And then I would get two answers. I would get a plus or minus. And then I would have to say, length can't be negative, therefore the answer is this.
Okay.
I mean, I have to justify throwing out an answer.
Why is it different on a graph?
What do you mean?
Why do you get the absolute value on a graph but not
if I consider, well, let me show you. Is that all our examples on this page?
For that, yeah.
Yeah.
Or did we have one more
Everything.
with the negative
Nope.
2? You should have gotten square root of 20 for the last one.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Because I want to answer your question. Let me do this last example and then I'll answer it.
Okay.
See if we can add it in there. Because there's two ways to look at that. So we got -2 minus 4i. So a is -2 and b is what?
4. -4.
-4. Square root of a squared plus b squared. -2 squared. -4 squared. Square root of 4 plus 16. That gives me square root of 20. You could leave. You can simplify it, right? That's what, square root of 4, square root of 5.
Yeah.
So 2 square roots of 5, and that's nice. Don't worry about me. Okay, so let's talk about your question and why it is what it is.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to erase this for a second. All right, if I asked you to tell me what is the square root of 100, what is it?
10.
Plus or minus 10.
No, it's just 10.
Oh yeah, 10.
If you actually graph the square root graph on your calculator, it starts at 0, 0, and it does that. There's only a positive answer. Okay, that's because square root is a function. If it did this and it went through, you'd go through more than one place, it would not be a function. Okay, so it's just plus 10. Now, how is that different than x squared equals 100 and solving for x? This is your difference.
The square root of both sides.
Okay, I have to take the square root of both sides. Okay. The square root of 100 is still 10, but this is the absolute value of x. Okay? What two numbers could fit in here? X could either be 10 or it could be -10.
Because 10 squared equals 100, -10 squared equals 100.
Well, because the absolute value of 10 is 10, and the absolute value of -10 is 10. Okay, so when you're talking earlier about some point out here, and we're measuring it from the origin right here. Okay, we'll call this distance x, we'll call this distance y. We'll just call this c because it's the hypotenuse. There's a rule that says x squared plus y squared equals c squared. Okay, if we're finding c squared equals x squared plus y squared, we have to take the square root of both sides. When we do that, we know the absolute value of c equals this here. Okay? Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Now, they're just telling me, this. They're telling me the absolute value of whatever my point is equal to this. If I were to solve this, it would be c is equal to plus or minus this right here. The reason we don't have the plus or minus is because it's defined as the positive. The reason they defined it as the positive is because you're talking a distance. You can't have a negative distance. That's why.
Okay.
If you're solving the Pythagorean theorem and you get down to c as plus or minus stuff, you are required to write length cannot be negative, therefore c equals whatever the positive answer is.
Okay.
Okay? You have to actually throw out a value.
Okay.
But you can't just throw them out, you have to tell them why you put it out. Are you okay with all that? Okay, we can kill that. And then I can